When the Ontario budget was presented last week, early childhood educators, or ECEs, hoped for the renewal of a provincial wage grant. It provides a $2 per hour top-up to more than 39,000 ECEs across the province. It was not mentioned in the budget, but they've still got reason to hope. Here to explain, Rachel Lafferty. She is Executive Coordinator of the Association of Early Childhood Educators Ontario, and we're delighted to welcome you here to TVO tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, tell me this. What did you think when you heard that the provincial government intended to keep funding this wage enhancement?
We were very, very pleased.
Were you surprised?
We were a little surprised, I have to say. We were very apprehensive that the wage enhancement grant was not going to continue. It's been, since 2015, it's been, providing ECEs, early childhood educators, with a $2 an hour top-up to their wages. And we know that the median wage in the province is $17.29 and can be as low as minimum wage, which is $14 an hour. So it's a significant, it makes a significant income, I guess you could call it a subsidy or top up to professionals that are working with young children.
It's not exactly hot off the presses that this government is looking to save money wherever it can. Did you think that you were going to be targeted for the cut?
We did. We were anticipating that the tax credit, which is now called CARE, we did anticipate some sort of a tax credit or rebate that would be provided to parents, and we thought that would be maybe a replacement for and maybe push out the wage enhancement grant for ECEs.
Why do ECEs, in your view, need this top-up to begin with?
Well, like I mentioned, they can make as little as minimum wage, which is $14 an hour. Early childhood educators have a 2-year diploma. Some of them even have a 3-year degree. They're registered with the College of Early Childhood Educators. They adhere to a code of ethics and standards of practice, and they are truly professionals. They belong to a profession. They have credentials. They have an abundance of child development and curriculum knowledge. And to be truthful with you, they are not paid, they're not remunerated, comparable to other professions with similar post-secondary credentials, and they serve the vulnerable sector of our population, which is our children.
Why do you think they're not paid as handsomely as others who do comparable work?
It's a decades-long issue that hasn't been solved. At the association, we are nonpartisan, but no matter what government is in power, whether it's provincial or federal, this issue has not been resolved. We were established in 1950, and we've seen it just throughout our almost 70-year history, that ECs just do not garner respect that other professions do.
It is a bit ironic, given that ECEs take care of the most important people in our world, right? Our kids.
They do. That's
true.
true.
And yet you are kind of dramatically undercompensated despite that.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention that I actually started in the field nearly 20 years ago. And at that time, I was working as enhanced support. I was a preschool teacher, so I had 8 children to 1. I was in a teacher team, so we had 16 children in our group. And one of the children that I was in charge of had cerebral palsy. So I actually got a little bit. I had enhanced support, so I got a little bit more per hour, and that was $11.29. And that was nearly 20 years ago. And now, like I mentioned, some ECs are making as little as 14 or $17.29 is the median, and that includes ECs that work in full-day kindergarten programs as well. What
percentage of ECEs do you think are women?
Oh, I think about 98% was the last figure that I read.
98%?
Yeah, I believe so.
Do you think that has anything to do with the explanation why ECEs are typically undercompensated?
It's definitely on the table as one of the factors. Yes, that there is a gender wage gap, certainly.
And is it because ECEs are female, or because many of them drop out of the workforce to have their own kids and that they fall behind for that reason?
I don't know if that's maybe the reason. I think that there's individual reasons, but as far as when you consider the whole sector, we have a real issue with retention of the workforce, and that is the reason, is the low wages, more than any other factor that we see. And just to give you an example, another woman-dominated profession is practical nursing, for example. RPNs, they're registered with the College of Nurses of Ontario. They take comparable post-secondary credentials, usually a 2-year diploma. The tuition and textbooks are comparable cost, and they get out and they start right at $25 an hour. And so at the association, that is really what we're promoting, is the wage enhancement grant is a temporary solution to a decades-long problem. And so what we see, and really what our workforce strategy is all about, part of it is that wage scale that starts at $25 an hour, which is comparable with other professions such as nursing, practical nursing, where you're also looking after the vulnerable sector of our society. And also just because we are professionals and we need to be recognized as such. And so the low wages have a lot to do with recognition. And we are regulated by the College of Early Childhood Educators.
Okay, a couple
as
follow-ups
well.
there then. Are the nurses that you just referred to unionized?
They are.
Are the ECEs unionized?
Some of them are.
Some of them are, some of them aren't.
ETFO, some of them are, some of them aren't, depending on where they're working, right, across the sector. And for example, DECs, designated ECs that work in full-day kindergarten programs, they are unionized either through CUPE or ETFO, depending on the board that they work for. They usually start right around the $25 hour mark. However, they aren't paid during the summer months. They have to go on unemployment insurance, or employment insurance, I guess you call it now.
Yeah.
And so when we factor that in, the fact that they're not salaried for 12 months a year, like Ontario certified teachers are, then that drops their wage down. And so they're included in that median $17.29.
The low salary that ECEs get, I think you said a moment ago that is a big part of the reason why many of them drop out after not very long. What's the typical length of stay for an ECE in this field?
It really depends. To be truthful with you, it could be months, maybe a year. The most recent stat that I read was we actually polled 200 students enrolled in an early childhood studies program, and of them, only 2 plan to work in the sector. So that's 1%. So some of them aren't even entering at all once they're getting their credentials. They're not even entering the sector because they understand that the wages are so low. So what we were hoping for 20 years ago, when I entered the sector as an early childhood educator, I belonged to the Association of Early Childhood Educators Ontario, who I'm very pleased to represent here today. And we were fighting for regulation. And we did get that regulation through the College of ECs. We got that legislated, and we really felt at that time that recognition, professional recognition, would follow that regulation, and it just hasn't happened. And so really, I mean, what we're really asking for is for the public and other ECEs as well to join us, raise that awareness of the professional status that we actually do have, and to give us the respect that we deserve.
Would
and
that make
that's
a
through
difference?
Remuneration. Absolutely.
You think
Absolutely.
if you had that respect, that recognition, you think higher salaries would follow?
Absolutely, it will. And I just spoke to a parent. I was at a roundtable just recently around poverty, ironically, and because ECs don't make a living wage, a lot of them can't buy a home, can't buy a car, can't even have their own families, never mind afford childcare for their own child.
Rachel, I don't get this. Childcare is expensive.
It is expensive.
But the money's clearly not going to the child care workers.
That's correct.
So where's it going?
Well, and this is what happened when I was at this roundtable. At the end of it, a parent approached me and she said, I pay over $2,000 a month in childcare. And she said, I want to know where that money is going. And I never thought, she had 2 concerns. She said, I never thought to ask the early childhood educator that I love that teaches my young child what they make. And she said the other thing was, she just didn't understand where her dollars were going, right? And she hadn't thought to ask about wages and salary and where all those dollars actually go.
Well, where do they actually go?
Well, a lot of it goes into operating, right? We know that. And there is a large piece as well that goes into wages, operating the buildings, the resources, obviously food, all the things that it takes to run an early years program. But that really highlights the need for the public to fund early childhood education programs similar to the school age programs, right? And so really our issue is that education is really starting at junior kindergarten. So we know that 85% of brain development occurs before 5 years of age. So what we're asking the government to do is to really consider putting a lot of those dollars, public money, public dollars, into those years before 5. And education shouldn't start at FDK, at full day kindergarten. It should start in the early years as well.
I got 30 seconds left to ask you this. The government in the last budget, just brought out a few days ago, promised 30,000 new childcare spaces in schools.
In schools.
Do we have ECE workers to staff all those positions?
You would have to look at Bill C-66, because what they're talking about there is that there may not be the requirement for early childhood educators to be engaged in those programs or working in those programs. And that's a real concern that the association has. The other concern we have is that we're hearing that some of those spaces, those 30,000 over 5 years, will also allow for profits as well, which doesn't necessarily, we don't necessarily think that could lower quality, but what we do believe is that early childhood education and care is not a market commodity, it's a human right. And so when you look at the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, children have a right to education, and that should be through public tax dollars.
We want to thank you very much for coming in and helping us out with this.
Thank you very
Particularly
much.
since you flew into Toronto from Vancouver
Yes,
last night.
this
It's
is
2 in
true.
the morning. You're here on 3.5 hours sleep
I
or so.
am. Thank
so
you for
well
having
done.
me.
Thanks very much. That's Rachel
Thank you.
Lafferty, Executive Coordinator with the Association of Early Childhood Educators Ontario. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
The Agenda with Steve Bacon is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.